Erika Kirk is now at the center of a growing controversy after allegations surfaced that she used Charlie's death as an opportunity to take control of Turning Point USA. Candace Owens is preparing to confront her publicly and says she's ready to reveal everything live. Turning Point USA has officially invited Candace to a public debate this week, and she claims she will arrive with proof. According to Candace, she has text messages, video recordings, and direct admissions that suggest people closest to Charlie turned against him.
Widow conservative activist Charlie Kirk is taking over the organization her husband helped to establish. Erika Kirk was officially named as CEO of Turning Point USA by the group's board. In a post on social media today, the board said the organization will carry on and not surrender to evil. Charlie Kirk was fatally shot during an open-air event on the campus of Utah Valley University on September 10th. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson is charged in his killing. Charlie Kirk co-founded Turning Point USA in 2012. The group is credited with energizing the youth vote in Donald Trump's 2024 presidential election bid.
On September 10, 2025, Charlie Kirk was attending a debate event as part of his American Comeback Tour at Utah Valley University in Orem when he was fatally shot. Around 3,000 students were present at the time. Sources allege that individuals involved in organizing the event were standing close to Charlie when it happened. At exactly 12:33 p.m., the shots were fired. Just 33 hours later, Tyler Robinson was arrested. However, after the arrest, the official story began to fall apart. Between the confession, the timeline, and Tyler's reported escape, many felt something was off. Even more disturbing, Charlie reportedly sensed his death was coming, and TPUSA allegedly knew of the danger.
Saying the truth, and I do believe that because you are not forthcoming about the information that you have about Charlie texting you guys and saying that he thought he was going to be assassinated that very next day. Okay, the day that he died, Charlie said he thinks he was going to be killed tomorrow, and you guys are sitting on him.
Charlie had been warned of a serious threat against his life and reportedly informed his security team. Despite this, no additional protection was put in place. After his death, Candace reviewed flight records from that same day and discovered something unexpected. Egyptian military contractors landed at the Provo airport, and a jet registered in Egypt appeared on the Provo P5U runway just 21 minutes before Charlie was shot.
I can now report to you that it is a fact that on 9/4 there were this was not some dropping by in Utah as they were trying to claim because the plane needed to be serviced. That's what they ran with. This could have been a routine servicing. I guess there's just no place from Egypt all the way to Utah that an Egyptian military plane can get a tire changed. This is totally routine, nothing to see here. Well, I'm telling you that for a fact, that plane was carrying military subcontractors. And for a fact, they were dropped off in Provo, okay? And that they did not make it back to Cairo. I showed you the plane left. They left on September 10th. It then laid over in Wilmington, Delaware, and departed back for Cairo on the 11th. I am telling you that when that plane left, okay, those people were mysteriously missing from that plane, okay? What's going on here? What are Egyptian military subcontractors doing in the middle of Provo, Utah on the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated?
The bigger mystery isn't simply why these contractors were present, but who they were working for. This is where questions multiply. A foreign aircraft arriving the same day as Charlie and leaving just 1 hour later raises suspicions. Allegations suggest this same plane had been tracking Charlie's movements for over a year and may have also been monitoring Erika.
What we're actually tracking for years was Erika. Not Charlie, but Erika was the one being tracked by these planes. Between 2022 and September of 2025, both of those aircrafts, SU-BTT, the yellow plane, and SU-BND, the blue plane, showed 68 overlaps with Erika's documented locations, okay? 68 overlaps. I have since been able to add now 73 times that this overlapped, okay? And 29 of those instances also happened to include Charlie. Charlie was also present. These are all the instances in which this plane, all 68 instances that this plane crossed with Erika. And I'm also going to say this includes overseas as well. So my instant question becomes, why didn't Turning Point acknowledge that this plane was familiar to them? When I was taking all of these figurative online bullets, someone could have easily said something, right? That's kind of a repeat thing in this investigation. Josh Hammer lies, I get attacked, Turning Point just stays silent. They know he's lying, but they allow the lie to flow. Alex Clark lies, I get attacked, I'm telling the truth. Turning Point knows it, but they kind of allow this like Catholic thing, lie to flow. And the influencers are allowed to lie. Nobody at Turning Point ever just steps to clarify that I'm onto something or I'm telling the truth about something. And when it comes to these Egyptian flights, the math on this is indisputable. There is less than a 0.000000001% probability, okay, under random distribution models that these Egyptian planes coincidentally landed around Erika at these times. Like I said, this plane was not just with her in America, it was also tracking her overseas as well. I flagged this because I was alarmed because I thought it was tracking Charlie, and I'm telling you that this plane, in addition to Charlie, and primarily actually was tracking.
Was Charlie's death arranged so Erika could step into his position? While that sounds extreme, many believe the events following his death make it worth asking. The official explanation of the assassination has been criticized as inconsistent. Joe Rogan has openly questioned the story from the start. Authorities describe a decoy shooter who conveniently ends up jailed and unavailable. A rifle said to be modern was oddly traced back to World War I, lacking a serial number. Officials also claim the weapon was disassembled and reassembled under pressure on a rooftop, which many find unrealistic.
It's actually factually inaccurate, according to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird going on with this.
I know.
First of all, there was that one guy who was the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he take his pants down? He took his pants down. This guy was at 9/11. He was at the Boston bombings.
All the hits.
He called in a fake bomb at another place, and then he did this at this thing right after. So somehow or another, this guy has the state of mind that the moment someone gets, he yells out and says, I did it, and takes his pants down or something like that. I don't know exactly what he did. Then, ready for this? He gets arrested for child porn right away.
Right after this happened?
Oh, right away. He's in jail for child porn. Why is that? Well, now you can't interview him.
Right, right.
And because when the internet people start going, how are you at all these different things? Like, what are the odds? Like, if someone ran it through one of the ChatGPT and Perplexity things, like, what are the odds that this guy would be at all those different events and be involved? Like, zero.
This is the guy?
Yeah.
I just like that the pants down part is just insane to me. It's like, why is your...
I'm not saying,
I did it.
Listen, I'm not saying this guy is an insane. He's clearly insane. Or not. Or he's professionally insane.
Critics question how someone with no shooting background could make such a precise shot using a World War II-era firearm. Others point out a strange trend of shooters leaving written confessions, sometimes even on bullets, which feels scripted rather than spontaneous.
Father's rifle from World War I and doesn't have a serial code. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Why? Wait. Why are you using such an old gun? Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, is it possible that an old gun can be that accurate? If you have a gunsmith and they work on it, yeah, it's totally possible. You have a really good gunsmith and he sets, if you're like a nostalgic person, you like driving an old car, you can bring it to a mechanic, they can redo the brakes.
Sure.
So if you got a good gunsmith and he took a look at that and the action was true and, you know, the bore is good, you know, yeah, you could conceivably shoot with a gun for hundreds of years, right? Guns don't necessarily go bad.
Right, they don't expire.
Right, and especially because all this stuff, like the trigger and the action and all that different stuff is replaceable, so you can just like it's compartmentalized. It's components. That's the other thing. They said that he took it apart and then put it back together again. Shut the f*** up. Do you know how much time it would take to do that if you were highly skilled?
To disassemble a gun.
To disassemble a rifle so that you can get it in a backpack. And by the way, not going to fit. Not going to fit.
In a backpack.
And then somehow or another reconnects it once he gets off the roof? What? What's that about?
Is that what they pitched, huh?
Yeah. And then he's supposed to get it in that stupid backpack. It's literally, it makes no sense.
And the elevator music was a nice touch, by the way.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
So this is just
Former military snipers have stepped forward saying the ballistics suggest a second shooter may have been involved. Shockingly, no full ballistic analysis of Charlie was conducted. Instead, a gun was allegedly discovered in a wooded area and quickly labeled as the murder weapon. Candace claims a trusted source told her the FBI pressured Utah officials to shut the case down. The push was reportedly aggressive, with instructions to label it a lone gunman situation.
Is equally sane, and he's saying, hey, look, that appears to me to be an exit wound, and when I go and look at this, and by the way, Kash Patel said on Sunday that the FBI is looking at leads, including the location of the shot and the angle of the bullet, potentially a second shooter. And that's what Kash Patel said on the Sunday news show. So this does not appear, Pat, that it's one
Does this
crazy
say that
person
Kash
out there.
Patel said there's a second shooter?
Yes, sir.
Rob, can you zoom in a little bit, please? I'm 46. Thank you. Director of FBI committed to ensuring the investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination person. The full weight of Americans' law enforcement is active following the extender. We are meticulously investigating theories and questioning includes the location where the shot was taken, the possibility of accomplices, text messages, confessions, related conversations, Discord chats, and the angle of the shot and bullet impact, how the weapon was transported, hand gesture observed as potential signals near Charlie. So they're doing all of that. Okay, that's
And they're
great.
saying where the shot was taken. They're not
Some
saying
details are known
automatically.
today, while others are still being pursued to ensure every possibility is considered. Our primary focus is complete investigation. Information will ensure regarding specific details, such as questions about the plane, regarding the turning off transponder on the assassination side. We can share updates.
Since Erika assumed control, Turning Point USA has reportedly shifted away from Charlie's original vision. People he openly opposed are now influencing the organization, and many feel his message is being erased.
We hope that Charlie Kirk's death won't be used by a group we now call bad actors to create a society that was the opposite of the one he worked to build. You hope that. You hope that a year from now, the turmoil we're seeing in the aftermath of his murder won't be leveraged to bring hate speech laws to this country. And trust me, if it is, if that does happen, there is never a more justified moment for civil disobedience than that, ever, and there never will be. Because if they can tell you what to say, they're telling you what to think. There is nothing they can't do to you because they don't consider you human. They don't believe you have a soul. A human being with a soul, a free man, has a right to say what he believes, not to hurt other people, but to express.
Erika's behavior after Charlie's death raised eyebrows. Within days, she spoke at his memorial and told the audience that J.D. Vance reminded her of Charlie. Observers noted her tone, posture, and overall demeanor felt unnatural. Analysts reviewed footage of her speeches and concluded her reactions appeared rehearsed rather than spontaneous.
Is either the epitome of what it means to be a MAGA woman who dumbs herself down and minimizes her success in the name of the man and the movement, or she is a honeypot. Because there's been speculations that Kash Patel is in a honeypot relationship. And that would kind of make sense, right? Like, you want to keep those guys close. You want to keep those guys together. You want to keep those guys controlled, right? If you don't know what a honeypot is, it's normally when a very attractive woman is used to control, manipulate, keep an eye on, guide a man, right? Erika Kirk has a law degree. She has a doctorate. She has 2 bachelor's degrees. She's 5 years older than Charlie. She had a successful basketball career in college. She had a successful pageantry career. And then in 2018, she runs into Charlie Kirk for the first time. And then they're very, very quickly married within, I think it's like 3 years or whatever. First of all, they've only been together for 7. I've keep seeing people say they've been floating around for like 10 years or whatever. They haven't. They've only been together for 7 years. This isn't some godly, long, profound, relationship that a lot of these people, they bring these people in MAGA, the high school sweethearts, whatever. She's either dumbed herself down to fit the narrative of what it means to be a MAGA woman, or she's a honeypot. Who Who else runs honeypot operations?
Things became even more uncomfortable when Erika was questioned about her relationship with J.D. Vance. Instead of answering seriously, she joked about inappropriate physical contact, which many found disturbing.
To the weirdest places. Oh my gosh. You guys, please. So for those of you who know me, I hug. It's yes, like, you're an intense hugger. Whoever is like hating on a hug needs a hug themselves. I will give you a free hug anytime you want a hug. My love language is touch, if you will. But seriously, that hug. So I will give you a play-by-play. I'm walking. They just played the emotional video. I'm walking over. He's walking over. I'm starting to cry. He says he's so proud of you, and I say God bless you, and I touch the back of his head. Anyone who I've hugged that I have touched the back of your head when I hug you, I always say God bless you. That's just me. If you want to take that out of context, go right ahead. Again, that to me shows that you need a hug more than anyone else. So if anyone... They were acting like you touched the back of his... I feel like I wouldn't get as much hate if I did that. But no, seriously, so now when I go and hug people, I'll bring them back in and be like, I obviously didn't give you the right hug, but let me...
Charlie had begun to realize certain people around him were not trustworthy. In his final months, he became more outspoken about Israel and donor pressure from AIPAC. About a month before his death, he told Megyn Kelly he felt afraid of his Israeli donors and described navigating sensitive topics like walking a mine. Candace later released messages where Charlie admitted he felt controlled.
I want to take the start of this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange, and I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my friend's trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It took 33 hours for authorities to get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people. Don't know where it went from there, apparently, but here we are. So one of the reasons, Blake, that I'm glad to have this now public, it was not mine to share publicly, but one of the criticisms we've received is that we don't care, we're not investigating every lead, we're not looking under every stone, and that somehow we're just sweeping things under the rug. And when I say that we want justice for Charlie more than anybody else, I really mean it, and no stone unturned. I mean, I don't know if you want to chime in on that part alone, but I have more to say.
Yeah, so it has been so frustrating to have people blow up about this. Yeah. And I've certainly stated publicly, the reason I haven't weighed in on things is I am an eyewitness to events, and they've said, don't comment on things because anything you say can mess that up. I don't want to mess up any trial for the person.
According to Candace, when those around Charlie realized they could no longer manage him, they decided to remove him. One day before his death, Charlie sent messages to multiple people at TPUSA saying he believed he was going to be killed. 3 sources confirmed he wrote, "Someone is coming after me."
Rather explosively. 3 people told me off record. 2 people who have this in a written communication from Charlie. One who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, I think they're going to kill me. Okay. He did not express that to me. So I am telling you this based off the testimony of 3 people. And I am saying this because I hope that these people who I think are good will be inspired to come forward with that. Again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping that watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be killed. Tell us Who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to kill?
TPUSA's head of security released a statement claiming everything possible was done to protect Charlie. However, he also admitted questioning police about an unsecured rooftop and leaving it under their control. Critics argue Charlie paid millions for protection and died due to that failure.
And I felt the need to start going through messages and conversations between me and Charlie, and sure enough, I stumbled upon many messages of him telling me how he would die. And I'm going to show you some of those messages now, a particular set of messages that were written on April 6th, 2018, just a couple of weeks before Kanye tweeted, "I love the way Candace Owens thinks," which is relevant because a lot of things changed after that tweet. And it's relevant because Charlie sensed that something big was about to happen. And I think that is what the something big was. I also want to say, obviously, I am not making up these messages, okay? Turning Point. Actually, Mikey McCoy has access to all of Charlie Kirk's messages. They can tell you that these ones are real. Here's what he wrote. We were again talking about Kanye. Charlie wrote to me, "You're going to be the Iron Lady of America." He had such a political vision for me. I never wanted that sort of a thing. I see it so freaking clearly. I might be Moses, though. I might not see this whole thing through. LMAO. If that is the case, be my David. I said, dude, you haven't even realized your power yet. You're so young, was what I was thinking. He said, if I tell you the true prophecy that I know in my gut, it's really sad, but I hope it's wrong. He went on to say, anyway, I am not sure if I will live to see the end of this revolution. I believe you were the piece that God meant me to meet that will finish the fight. Since the beginning of TPUSA, I knew in my gut that I might get wiped out at any time. I cannot explain it, but I dream about it all the time, like all the time. Anyway, that's depressing combo for another time, LMAO. I said, that's weird, more of a fear manifestation than an actualization. He said, I'm not really afraid of it, but I'm just telling you what I know to be true. And he told me that. I don't know why. Charlie knew he was going to die young. And I don't know. I just felt like I needed to share that because it is in part why the moment that Charlie got, I just knew he was betrayed spiritually. In the same way that Charlie knew that he was going to die young, I knew that this was a part of something bigger. And so I wanted to say to you guys, to the people that betrayed Charlie, I would recommend that you come clean, okay? I would recommend that you come clean because Charlie said some other things, and I look at these things now and I think, wow, it's almost prophetic, right? It's almost prophecy, and I can tell you that this is a story that will have a happy ending, a tragedy that will have a happy ending. The world is going to learn the truth about this.
Charlie had feared betrayal since the early days of Turning Point USA. Texts from 2018 show him predicting that trusted allies might turn on him. He warned that if anything happened, it would not be accidental. Candace later issued a warning to those she believes betrayed him, urging them to come clean while they still could.
Owens has been told there is a threat on her life, that she is on a list, her and Tucker Carlson.
Another point that I'd like to follow up with, Andrew Colvett, let's stick with you, is that in the hospital on that day, you told me, you were in the hospital, that you were told that there was a credible threat against me and Tucker Carlson. Specifically, you told me that me and Tucker Carlson were on a list and that you were just telling me as a friend that me and Tucker should lay low. And after you told me that, I ended our phone call and I immediately called Tucker Carlson. And I said, hey, terrified, like obviously crying all day, and telling him that he and I have to lay low because there's a credible threat. And it is now really living inside me that you did not tell me who that threat was from. I assumed the feds told you, but I asked you the question, why wouldn't the feds call me directly if there was a threat against my life? No such call has come in. How is that possible? How could someone have told you that there was a credible threat and that me and Tucker Carlson should lay low, and yet me and Tucker have since not been notified by any federal agency about those credible threats?
Okay, that is really weird. For those who don't know, this person that told Candace Owens there was an active and real threat against her and Tucker Carlson's life was this individual here, Andrew Colvett. Andrew Colvett is Charlie Kirk's executive producer. So in the hospital when Charlie was Andrew COVID told Candace Owens that there's an active threat against her and Tucker Carlson's life. Candace is looking back in hindsight and saying, wait a minute, who even told you that there was a threat on my life? And if there was a very serious threat on my life, then why hasn't somebody from the FBI contacted me? So she's thinking, okay, my friend Charlie just died and now there's an active threat against me. Now later, Candace ended up making the claim that Charlie began to abandon the pro-Israel movement near the end of his life. Andrew COVID denied these claims. Then later, Candace showed receipts and released the text messages, which Andrew was a part of, where Charlie did admit and say that he was going to abandon the pro-Israel movement. Charlie also said he was thinking about bringing Candace back, and the people in that group message begged him not to do so. Candace, who has been somebody who has been anti-Israel, and she's spoken out against Israel. Then near the end of his life, when Charlie began to share those same sentiments, people who were close to him and people who worked very close to him, like Andrew COVID, tried to cover that up and say it wasn't true. Now she's looking back and she's saying, wait a minute, Andrew was the same person that told me there was a threat on my life. Now, who exactly would be threatening Candace, and why? And why would Andrew be privy to this information?
Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson have both reportedly received threats after questioning the official narrative. Candace stated on stream that she was directly warned of an active threat if she continued speaking. Tucker's team has increased his security following intimidation attempts.
Please pick me. Okay. You know, when you're like in school and you got to hold your hand up because you really want a teacher to see you. I have an answer for what you could have done. You could have followed up because it's your job and Charlie paid you millions of dollars not to pass the buck. No. Also, you asked the police chief an either or question, and I'm just kind of like trying to understand the basic construct of sentences. He said, got you covered. What does that mean? It was an either or question. Either provide us access or get somebody up there. Got you covered means what? No follow-up? That's it? Millions and millions of dollars on his security annually, and you just said, hey, a student told us that there's a rooftop, and it would be good if we could have access to it, or if one of your guys could secure. Got you covered. That's it. That's what Charlie was paying for. On the basis of that answer, you should all be fired. Just on the basis of that answer, you didn't have it within you to go, let me follow up and make sure that's been secured because that's my job. Let me walk the path and see. The fact that a student told you and you didn't know that, shouldn't you have told the student? Shouldn't you have said to the student, hey, we're looking at a map because it's amazing. It's 2025 and there's this thing called Google Maps. So we're actually looking at a map and we see where Charlie's going to sit and we're wondering about this roof. Could you let us know how we're supposed to access that? Why is the student and the chief leading the charge and not you when you are paid for executive level security? It is an unacceptable answer. Look, I've worked with Brian. Nice guy. That's a ridiculous answer.
Now, Candace Owens is preparing for a confrontation that could either expose the truth or blow the case wide open. Whether people believe she's uncovering facts or fueling controversy, her evidence, her public stance, and her decision to challenge the organization she helped build have reignited serious questions that many believe deserve answers. If this story made you question the official version, make sure you subscribe to Haley Reporter. Like the video to support real conversations, share it so others can hear what's being overlooked, and leave a comment with your thoughts. This story isn't finished, and we'll be watching what happens next.